Do you guys want to do any? There she is. Do you want to do any kind of intros? Like we've met
Yes.
some of the
Handing it over to these lovely folks.
Hi, I'm Katya and my pronouns are she, her, hers. Let me know if you guys have any trouble. I've been having Wi-Fi issues all week, so just let me know if I go out at any point. So we will first be doing, we're going to do introductions, name, pronoun, anything someone would like to share. And lastly, our icebreaker question is going to be, how has social media impacted you? And so I said my name, I said my pronouns. I have been in this kind of work for a few years now. And media, I think, has impacted me in a good way, because I feel like my parents had a lot of control over it for a while, but that was a good thing. So, I wasn't allowed to have a phone pretty early on. I wasn't allowed to have a Facebook or a MySpace, even though my cousins had it. I really wanted it. Oh, I kind of dated myself. But that actually helped. And I think I've learned how to manage social media throughout, but sometimes it has made me feel a little bit down. And I can pass it on to Sophie.
Hey y'all, I'm Sophie. I use she, her, or they, them pronouns. And I guess as far as social media, I don't really, I mean, I use it less now than I did before, just because like I kind of like couldn't stop doing it for a little bit. But I have like Facebook and Instagram, and I mostly just use Facebook for like connections. What else? Yeah, I mostly use Instagram, but that's kind of it for me.
Thank you, Sophie.
And I will pass it to Araya.
Yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Araya Johnson. My pronouns are she, they. I'm trying to think if I can think of anything interesting right now. I'll think of something. But as far as social media and how it's impacted me, I don't know. I think it's definitely had definitely a lot of pros and cons to that. I think the biggest pro is just the exposure that's given to me, especially as I'm trying to build myself in the nonprofit sector, and then people connections I've got to build and that kind of thing. And definitely shout out to things like LinkedIn and stuff. So it's pros and then cons. Honestly, I think just the amount of anxiety that comes behind social media, is always just one of those things, I guess. I think and then as far as something interesting about me, I think, oh my gosh, I don't know. I love people. I'm a people person. That's my thing. I love to inspire. But I'll go ahead and popcorn it over to, let's see, who else is all in here? I'll popcorn it to Yoel.
They are right, and then yeah, but I get it.
Okay, maybe Yoel's not there. So I'll just popcorn it to whoever's willing to grab it.
That's the only one I know. Huh? So,
I'm not too proud.
yeah.
What's it called? I don't remember what I was saying.
Just intros, name, pronouns, something fun about you. I should have said that instead at the beginning. And how has social media impacted you?
I had popcorned it to your well, but if you're not there, I mean, anybody who's willing to grab the mic.
I can go
Oh,
next.
go ahead.
My name is Stella. I'm a senior at North High School. And my experience with social media in general has been okay. I think in like middle school when I was younger, I struggled with it a lot and like my body image, and just like having that comparison, like so easily accessible to see just to compare yourself against other people. I think that impacted me, but I've gotten a lot better with balancing it, like with the rest of my life and everything. So yeah. And then I'll pass it to Axel or anyone else who wants to go.
Okay. My name is Axel Kano, and something cool about me is my favorite color is red. And social media affected me because when I was younger, I didn't know exactly who I was, and social media just blinded me from that even more. But I've stayed away from it now, and I'm doing better. I'm popcorn it to Sophia H.
I already went.
Oh, who didn't go?
I didn't go.
Okay,
On.
I'll popcorn it to you.
Okay. My name is Meron. I go to DSST Montview. My pronouns are she, her. And one interesting thing about me is I like to watch the crime podcasts and social media has impacted me in like both positive and negative ways. Um, like social media allowed me to like to connect with people in my community and like people that I really wouldn't have talked to if it weren't for social media. But it's also caused like things like body dysmorphia and like bad self-image issues, like all that. So there's pros and cons to it. Sorry, I don't know who hasn't gone yet. Um, anyone who hasn't gone, y'all could go.
I haven't gone. So I'll go. My name is Galilea Cano. What's the questions?
Your pronouns, and then something interesting or fun about yourself, and then how social media has impacted you.
Oh, okay, thank you. Something fun. My pronouns are she, her, so they're normal. Um, Something fun about me is that I like to draw, and basically just I like to draw. And something that social media impacted me is that it's both good and bad. Like I had the same problems too with social media. I don't know. It made me like had body dysmorphia too, made me feel bad about myself, made me feel different. It was pretty toxic, but at the same time, I was able to meet new friends and make new friends and be able to talk to people. So, yeah.
Awesome. I'm trying to look at our grid here and see who hasn't shared yet from the youth side. Is there anyone else who hasn't had a chance to introduce themselves?
I haven't gone yet.
Hi. Oh, my bad.
Oh, sorry.
Please.
My name's Yoel, and I go to DSST Montview High School. A fun fact about me is that I like to bike a lot, and I'd say, oh, I go by he, him, and I'd say that social media, for the most part, it's just like helped me keep in touch with old friends or friends at different schools. But there's definitely like the addiction side of it, especially to TikTok. But yeah, I think that's just the way I view social media.
Thanks, Sarah.
Hi, I haven't gone. My name is Brittany. I am with a nonprofit called City Year, and I went to CU Denver. One interesting thing about me is I am a huge Avalanche fan. I love hockey more than anything, and my relationship with social media is pretty okay. Big like social media like Instagram kind of came out when I was a teenager, like in middle school. So I have tons of history of like embarrassing content and like internet footprint stuff. But now I don't really use it that often because I just feel like it's really overwhelming and it's not productive to my mental health or to my personal growth.
Awesome. I think we may have then worked through most of the youth leadership council that's on the call. Is there anyone we have overlooked or anyone?
Me, I just jumped on. Sorry about that, guys. I just started working with an after school program, so some of the kids were getting picked up today. So hello everybody, so good to see you all. Sorry if my camera's not on. I am in the car, so trying to be safe. My name is Bree Manchego. I am 25 years old, will be 26 on Friday. My pronouns are she, her, hers. One thing I'm interested in is dance, always dance, because I love dance. Always helps with body movement and just getting out, tensed up energy. My relationship with social media, I would say, is a love-hate relationship because I feel like social media can be very beneficial, but then also it's very detrimental on mental health and like seeing a lot of traumatic stuff on Facebook or just like, just things just pop up that like sometimes you don't even want to see. And it definitely hits some triggers a lot of times, but being able to reach out to people like instantly and like multiple people, like thousands of people at one time, I think is like amazing. And I love having memories. So I think that's like the main thing that I love the most about having social media is all the years of memories. So thank you. And I'm excited for this meeting, guys.
That is awesome. Anyone else or the Waypoint team can wade into our icebreaker if it's time, but is there anybody that we haven't gotten to? I'm trying to keep track of the. Okay. Waypoint team. I'll maybe kick it. Maybe Claridel, do you want to go first?
Okay, no pressure though. Hi, I'm Clara Dell. My pronouns are she, hers. A fun fact about me is that I'm learning German, which is a real adventure. And social media for me has been a very double-edged sword. On one hand, I love that I can keep in touch with people overseas, especially before it became so cheap to, FaceTime and call and things. On the other hand, it can be very disheartening to see how it can be used. And when you see people you love doing things on air that are toxic or, harmful, that can be really, really stressful. So I'm going to kick it over to Masha.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having the Waypoint team on today. It's always lovely to spend some time with you. My name is Masha. My pronouns are she, her. Like Brittany, I'm also a really big Avalanche fan, so very excited that they won the Stanley Cup last year. And for me, social media has been, a lot of what I hear everyone saying, lots of pros and cons. I think the biggest pro in the past year is the information that has been available in terms of news, breaking news, and specifically, I'm Ukrainian, so seeing what's happening in Ukraine from real life people's perspectives there has been really important for me to share out that information to my community and network here so people are more aware. And I will pass it to Alex.
Hi, everybody. My name is Alex Cortez. My pronouns are she, her. A fun fact about myself is I have had over 20 plus cavities throughout my life. I have a big sweet tooth. I don't know if that's fun, but it's a fact. And then social media. I think from the, since we're going to be talking about design and visuals and stuff, I do think social media has just brought in a plethora of visual inspiration and art that we didn't have access to before. So definitely just being able to utilize what is out there and get inspiration from other creative people, and then just reinvent, refresh, and kind of add to the creative conversation that's able to be out there because of social media. So yeah, I guess I'll pass it back to Sarah or.
Thanks, Alex. I've met a bunch of you. I'm Sarah Lehman. I'm the founder of Waypoint, and we're here to do some super fun work tonight, kind of examining how I think we can make this campaign, and we can take everything we've heard today about the double-edged sword of social media and try and bend it toward the good, right? Like make content available where if someone's scrolling and they're not feeling great, they're going to find something really meaningful, and maybe disrupt a pattern that we want them to disrupt. So that's a long way of saying I'm Sarah. My pronouns are she, her. Fun fact, I climbed an ice fall last weekend and I'm still sore. I don't know how it happened, but it was like a once in a lifetime. I had an opportunity. It turns out I'm not as fit as I thought I was. And that was my highlight of the week. I would also share that I do have a really very, very close loved one who is struggling with addiction right now, like in this moment. It's very real. It's very close to my friends and family, and it has made tonight's conversation even more salient and close to my heart. And I think that's a good segue into, I've had to limit my social media intake myself over the last couple of years. But when something does break through, when I do have inspirational, aspirational, like beautiful accounts that kind of come across my feed, I find them very successful in kind of like breaking the monotony or the, negative influence of the not great stuff that's out there. And that's why I'm so proud of the work you all have driven us to do, you all are doing, and why I'm so excited about what we're going to talk about tonight, because I think about that loved one of mine, and I think about like if there's something that could like break him in his decision making and maybe push him in a different direction or help him think about other things out there. I say this from a very real, very like deep in my heart perspective. Like I think that that's the work that we're all here to do. And I'm really proud to be working with you all. And I'm really proud of this youth-led, like genuine, authentic movement. And what we're here to talk about today is how we can kind of maximize that. So that was way too long, but that's me. And we are very excited to chat today about how we can continue to get everything out in the ways that it needs to be to make a difference for the folks who are out there who might need it. Anything you would add, Masha, or anybody else? Awesome.
I just wanted to tell you, thank you for sharing that, Sarah, and I really appreciate the bravery that you had for sharing that. Honestly, I feel like most of us in this group, I can't speak for everybody, but we have that, same relation, and that's why we care so much. And I hope that you can find some resources for your loved one, because I know how hard it is to deal with that, and I'm praying for you.
Oh, thank you, Bree. Yeah, I think we're all probably, unfortunately, we all, right? Like social media is the double-edged sword we talked about a bit. Like there's some things that drain us, some things that lift us up. But I think what we'd love to talk about today is a little bit about how we can utilize platforms, whether it's social media, whether it's email, whether it's design, or like just how we talk about things, how we can all be the best ambassadors we can be for those who might need us. I think that's a short way of introducing what we're going to go through today, but I welcome my team if there's anything you would add.
I think we're ready to jump right into it.
Awesome. Objectives of today, we'd just love to go through a little bit of Communications 101. Kind of why brand, why develop a campaign? Like, why not just post our personal experiences, which are really important and really genuine? But like, why create something that is a bit more concerted and, you know, organized? And why is design important? And why is message important? And why is consistency important? So what we're going to share today is a bit of a peek behind doing things the way that we've done them, creating a campaign, thinking about the touch points, being consistent. And, you know, you all probably know this from practically birth. You're you're all so much younger than us. But we just love to have a chance to sit with a committee that is driving things forward the way that you all are. And reiterate why things are important and why we've done them the way we have. And then we would love to give you a little bit of training and behind the scenes on how you all can help carry them forward in a, like I said, a consistent manner, because we know how important that is. Anything else you would do to summarize our objectives? Waypoint team. Awesome.
So,
all right, let's go. So just a quick like branding 101 overview. You guys know this. You know it better than we do. What's a brand? It's not a logo. It's not a word. It's not a catchphrase. It's not a tagline. A brand is a reputation. I mean, that's the easiest way to say it. It's intended to be, as a result of all the things I just mentioned, a feeling that is evoked when somebody who interfaces with the brand sees or hears or interacts with the brand. And then it's also intended to inspire action. So whether it's purchasing a shoe, or whether it is supporting a nonprofit, or most importantly, whether it is somebody feeling heard when they're in a really low spot due to something they saw maybe on social, or an email they got, or an outreach they had. We want a brand to really be a catalyst for people to take an action. And in our case here today, that action would maybe be like stopping something that might be behavior that might be detrimental to a person, and maybe seeking either a soothing mechanism or help, right? So a brand is not a logo, and it's not a simple thing or a sticker. A brand is how we change behavior and intentionally, especially in this case, help people find what they need to make better choices and live a better life. So I have a question. Does anybody on here have a favorite brand? And it could be anything. It could be a product, it could be a campaign, it could be anything. And I'm just curious what it says to you and what you think it says about you that it's your favorite brand. So I'm going to open this up for a second.
Starbucks. I both love and hate the consumer aspect to it. But like the seasonal drinks and stuff like that, I really enjoy. And then little random side note, I kind of stopped drinking Starbucks because I was getting tired of getting called a white girl because it's associated to being a white girl thing. So I was all like, well, I am very much brown and I don't want people to get the wrong idea of me. And this was like back in middle school. And then I got over it and I was like, you know what? I don't care what people think. I like these like drinks. So it is what it is. But yeah.
No, thank you. Anyone else?
I'll just jump in really quick. I had to turn my camera off. My computer is struggling a little bit, but I don't know if everyone knows the brand Warby Parker. They make glasses, and I think that one of the things that I really enjoy about that brand is that you can order glasses really easily online, but also that they, for every glasses purchased, they donate a pair of glasses to somebody who needs them. So it feels really good to support a brand that kind of gives back.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that too, Marsha. I think Patagonia would be the brand that I really love, because even though they're selling you things, they still make you feel as though they're doing it for a good cause and that you're doing something good if you purchase from them. So
I would say my favorite brand would be David Gonzalez clothing brand because it represents Chicano culture and Native culture. And because I don't know, they have cool art. So
I love that.
I was gonna say Fenty Beauty or Fenty Savage, like just because it's obviously empowerment to like women's and just people's in like body shape, size, color, all that stuff. Like with from the beauty to the clothing that she has, and she's coming out with a baby line now. It's gonna be like so amazing. I think everything that Rihanna does is pretty amazing. Yeah, because inclusion, and she's just like she literally, like I said, all of the it's like everybody's represented in her like websites and her beauty products. It's pretty lit. I love her.
oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to add one more thing. Um,
What is it? What is the David Gonzalez brand mean for you?
oh, what it means for me is that so how I said before that I like art. Well, the art like is like my type of style of art that I like. What it says about me? um, that no. I'm sorry, I just can't think of anything.
No, you guys have come up with some amazing examples, and that's anybody else have a brand they love that speaks to them?
I don't know if anybody said Nike yet. I don't think so, but I think even Nike's like their motto, their motto is like just do it, motivational. But they also supported like Joe Kaepernick when he was like Colin Kaepernick when he was trying to like support Black Lives Matter and everything, and like other brands shut him down, but they supported him.
I love that. That's a great example of whether you agree with the position or not, a brand saying, you know what we sell is not as important as what we stand for. And I think that's like a huge through line here, is that a brand, a campaign, a message standing for something is really, really, really important. And that happens from the top to the bottom and in every example of execution. So that's a fabulous example. And I couldn't agree more that if Nike lost some business because people weren't happy about the position they took with Mr. Kaepernick, they didn't care because they knew they wanted to stand for and mean something. And I think that's really like a spectacular example. So anyone else, any other examples of brands that have like surprised you or where the message really resonated like that?
I mean, not completely to that extent, but a brand that I've been fond of is Yeezy. So that's Lizzo's brand. And I mean, I think just it's really making her a trailblazer for sure. Just because it is a plus size brand and like finding clothes for plus size folks tend to be a little more expensive and kind of thing. So like I think that's something that really keyed me on to like Giddy and Lizzo's brand is because she wants to like make it more affordable and just more accessible. And just something I think that is important.
I love it. Well, thank you. And there'll be a couple points throughout our little presentation here that if something occurs to you and you want to bring it up, especially as it pertains to kind of the brand we're building for this campaign, I think you all have made the brand for this campaign real and meaningful and grounded in actual lived experience. And that has been why this has been one of the more meaningful projects I've ever worked on. And why you all making time tonight is so important to us and so meaningful to us. You know, and I guess that's a good segue to this, which is why did we build a campaign like we've built for this initiative? And it was intended to be real, to not be a bunch of adults speaking down to young people with lived experience, to be generated from the minds and hearts and lived experience of young people. And we have sought through design, through photography, through video, through everything we've done to always be really real and to connect and to create maybe that moment or that sense of I'm not alone, other people are going through this. You know, someone's not sending me like a list of resources. Someone is literally saying to me like there's something you could do tonight that might help, right? It's not going to fix it. And you all have helped us be, I think, pretty real through this campaign. And I think inspired, you know, already a lot of groundswell, and we want to build on that. And I think that's kind of a bit of what we're here to talk about today, both in terms of how we continue to like build on that momentum, and then how we ensure that our design and our execution of the campaign, if you will, across all of these medium where it is reaching people is as consistent as possible and maintains that same kind of voice and spirit that we built this with. So I'll pause there, and I don't know, I wish Sedona was here, but I don't know if any of the other youth who've been part of this along the way have anything to add there, but I think we really have built a brand based on reality and truth and authenticity. So I don't know if anybody has anything they'd want to share that feeds into that.
I think I just want to say thank you for trying to have inclusivity and like understanding like the importance or the value of lived experience. So, yeah.
Thanks, Coach. Okay, well, interrupt at any time, friends, if you've got anything you would add, and I'm just reading the chat as well. Yeah, I mean, we just had this slide, and again, you know, we open this up to everyone on the call, but thinking about, and I'm seeing, Sophie, your comment here, you know, if there are two words that you would use to describe the campaign, or that you would hope maybe we grow into some aspirations for the campaign, and to build off what you're saying here, Sophie, in the chat, like how lived experience can help really make this resonate and can help maybe someone who's struggling feel seen, feel heard. I just like love to hear if, you know, beyond our design, beyond our execution, like of the campaign, like is there anything that you all as leaders of this work really want to maybe state or pull to the forefront for us?
I guess for me, what I'd really want to like make sure we're doing is making sure things are being seen. I don't know if that's the correct word, but like seen through the proper lenses. I think as a woman of color, like there's so many times where that aspect, that those layers of intersectionality are forgotten. I don't know. Yeah. So just want to make sure that the proper like lenses are being used. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
I feel like that totally makes sense. Just like, and it got really loud. I just feel like there's just so much that goes on when it just in everybody's life. There's just so many different things that could play into mental health, substance abuse. You know, just like there's so many things, and like we need to be able those lenses to be able to adapt and heal and know how to deal with the traumas, or like she said, the intersectionalities, whether it be culture, religion, race, all of the above. Like it's hard to explain that to people, like especially through my experience. It's been hard to explain how I live and stuff, and not feel like I'm kind of like an outsider, or feel like I've been through like too much. I don't know how to explain it, but like sometimes people look at you some type of way when especially with society, there's not a lot of inclusion. So when you start talking about all these intersectionalities, people aren't educated on those either. Like when you say intersectionality, a lot of people don't even know what you mean.
Thank you. This is all super helpful. Anyone want to build off of that? And I'm seeing the chat too. Thank you everyone who's able to throw things in the chat, and please feel free to do that throughout our chat today. And we will record all of this and make sure that we are responding to that with our continued development of this campaign. But I just want to take another awkward silent moment and see if anybody else has anything they'd like to interject.
And I'm sorry if I sound really loud, guys. I'm like super stuffed up and cannot hear myself.
No, you're great. You're a natural public speaker. I like it.
Thank you.
Well, we'll kind of move on a little bit in our presentation, because we are going to get a little bit more into like rolling up sleeves and looking at how we can continue the extension of the visual communication of this campaign. And we're hoping that some of this is also kind of maybe valuable, cool, appreciated, or perhaps useful in a different way, like actual skill building, where you all are going to get to kind of hear from a really seasoned, amazing designer and get a bit of a tutorial on how we're hoping to continue to execute this campaign with this group, but also like some tips and tricks on visual communication that you could extend into your own hobbies, your own work life, your own personal brand. And we're hopeful that this is like good for us as a committee driving this campaign, and maybe good for each of you. And I'm extraordinarily excited to kind of turn the wheel a bit over to Alex, who is gonna kind of give you guys a 101 on visual comms and some tools that I think will be super cool to integrate into aspects of your lives. So With that, Alex.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah. And thank you all for sharing such more high level conceptual aspects of branding. It's always great with visual communication to start macro and then go micro, which is more or less what we're going to be doing throughout this presentation. But yeah, I'm going to walk through pretty quickly because it is a lot to cover. But essentially, what is visual communication, otherwise known as graphic design, or simply put, how to make things look good while communicating a message. I think I heard in the intros earlier that there was someone that liked to draw. I'm sure there's multiple ways that you guys are all creative. But I know I was someone starting out that really just loved to make PowerPoints pretty, not realizing that that actually can lead to a whole career in graphic design and visual communication. And in my experience, it was all the better that I was able to pair this skill set with working more specifically with nonprofits and campaigns that are doing a lot of really good work. So I'll go through this part really quickly because we've been kind of covering it already, but essentially with that macro to micro idea, we have this term marketing. You market a brand, you market a company, you market a cause or a nonprofit. And that means a whole bunch of things, but there's the 4 P's of marketing. That's some business jargon, but essentially it's product, price, place, and promotion. And promotion in this case is really what we're focusing in, which is all about the how. So promotion fits under this umbrella of marketing. And then within promotion, we have a bunch of different things going on. And a lot of this is what you are already doing with your campaign. So it's the idea that you're selling a service or a product. Product is more relevant to for-profit businesses, but your services, your resources, that's really what you're putting out there. And that comes to life through messaging on social media. We've been talking a lot about social media. That's tracking your reach and impressions. Who is your target audience? Where is this message being sent? You have that can come to life through traditional print channels. Now we're seeing more and more of those digital channels. And then, more specifically, the campaigns that you have been working on to put out there. But the how is really the visual communication piece or the design piece that brings all these different pieces to life. So here is where that visual communication and graphic design sort of facet lives within the bigger picture of what we're doing. If there is one single aspect of graphic design that you take away from today, it would be this, which is the attention rule. Essentially, the complexity of a design should fit the medium. So here we see the spectrum of different assets, all the way from a logo, which you just see on a screen. We had a couple pulled up earlier in the presentation. It takes 0 seconds, 1 second to see it and get the idea of what it's communicating right away, versus on the opposite end of the spectrum, you might have an example like an editorial design or a magazine or a book. That's something you're actually sitting down with, holding, and really spending a lot of time with the design of that medium itself. And then, of course, everything in between, from packaging to posters, website design. And really the idea here is that we want to take into consideration anyone that's interacting with that piece of media. How long are they interacting with it? And how quickly do they need to get that message? But what is good graphic design? Again, we've been talking a lot about the high-level concepts, the feelings that we want to evoke, the intentions, the objectives, but how does it actually come to life visually? And it is my belief that you will learn just as much about good design from bad design. So I'm going to quickly go through some of these examples, but what we have up here is examples of bad design. And while art is inherently subjective, the first priority with graphic design and visual communication is to clearly communicate. So there are rules and principles that we always want to keep in mind when bringing things to life. So in these examples, we just have a lot going on. We see some Comic Sans, if you guys are familiar with that font. Here's some examples of websites. There are still so many websites online that still have this very dated look and feel. And even you see that in poster design or advertisements, how, you know, there's just a lot going on. You don't know where to look first. There's a bunch of different typography and images. It can get just very busy. Seeing that here again. So sometimes it's fun to look at things and be like, okay, that's maybe not what we want to do. And then sort of the core of this presentation or the visuals that we'll be sharing come back to this idea of 5 design principles. And alongside the attention rule, if you leave this call or this session with these 5 design principles in mind, there's a lot you can do to really start to build out some of these assets for your campaign and make sure they're on brand and consistent and evoking everything that we want it to. So let's go through these really quickly. Number 1, less is more. This is perhaps one of the number 1 principles to sort of keep in mind. We have an example down here, Google, we all know Google. But even Google, when they started out, you can see they have all these different buttons, things to click. You kind of don't really know where to start. And they made the simple move of kind of really focusing on the search bar, paring things down, just making it as easy and clear as possible. And I know a lot of these examples, we're going to see websites, we're going to see posters, signs. All of this is graphic design. Anytime you see visuals that are trying to tell you something or leave you something or communicate a message in whatever form is graphic design. So here again, we have some crazy website, a lot going on. Menu design is often where you see a lot of sort of bad design habits come together. Posters that use multiple different fonts and colors. It's just a little busy and overwhelming. So core idea is we want our design to be easy to understand quickly. And that's best shown in some good examples. So here we just have clean layout, great photography, one singular message, and a logo. Plenty of white space, breathing room. When it comes to visual communication and graphic design, really you don't overcomplicate things. You sort of want to make sure that the main aspects, logo, imagery, message is what is at the forefront. And we've also all heard an image is worth 1,000 words. So that sort of plays into the same idea of less is more. This example is clearly showcasing a very deep concept, but it's only doing it with 2 words and some very simple graphics. 2 is consistency. We've brought that word up a lot. Consistency is a huge aspect of making a cohesive brand voice and making sure all assets live within one unified campaign. So some more examples of how that's not working. This too many fonts, too much going on, not really branded. And here there's even, you can have very specific inconsistency in the case of sort of kerning and spacing and intentionality around even letter forms. And we're going at a very high level. You can dive so deep into the nuances of graphic design. Here's some good examples of consistency being used. Taking an element within a logo and sort of repeating that in different contexts so it all is a part of the same visual identity. Down here, we have different colors, different photos, but you can see that by using it in the same way repeatedly, this all lives within one brand. And here's another example where they've just stuck to their color palette, typefaces, they're using layout, all of these different elements well. So even if it's a name badge or a brochure or a website, it all looks like it's attached to the same brand or campaign. And then you can even have consistency with inconsistency. So here you're obviously seeing so many different colors, typefaces, graphics, but the consistency here is in the repetitive composition and layout and word being used. So even in variety, you can find that through line that maintains that brand voice. And we have visual voice, typography, fonts. That's a whole world that really adds to the overall brand voice and brand personality that you're trying to convey. Messaging and copywriting, brand strategy, all that is a huge piece of helping to dictate what exactly the typographic visual choices we want to make. I'm sure you all have had experience seeing different fonts, whether it's sort of serif, sans serif, some of these design terminologies that are thrown out. But what's most important is, does the type that you're using, is it legible? Is it accessible? And is it communicating and exuding that brand personality that you're looking for? And even within typography, you can get really granular with the different aspects, even within typography, that all sort of add up to create a consistent voice. So here we have some not great typography going on. You know, what is the actual words being used? How are they interacting with one another? Someone did not edit this newspaper headline. I'm sure we're all familiar with old word art from Microsoft, and then, you know, memes where it's all these different pieces. If they're not necessarily constructed in the right way, you leave a lot of ambiguity and misunderstandings for viewers. The avatar example just cracks me up because they used papyrus, which is a sort of universally disliked font, as their title sequence. So even huge budget projects sometimes can have bad design choices. I don't want to spend too much time on the details of typography, but you can get really, you know, into the weeds of different typefaces and the weight of different. A typeface is a set of fonts. A font is a singular weight within a typeface. So there's all these terms that kind of come into play. But what's most important is just how you're putting all these elements together. Size is a huge part of hierarchy. Obviously, the bigger the type, the more your eye is drawn to it first. So little things like that, all to consider. I know legibility and accessibility for all readers, users, or your target audience is important. So even nuances such as considering spacing around large paragraphs of text, you don't want it to be too tight. You don't want it to be too spaced. And I'm bringing this example back because it just does such a great job of showing how type layout works together. Some brands or campaigns rely heavily on type alone, not even necessarily imagery or graphics, but really just playing with the emphasis on certain words to make your point. And then this even goes more into that idea of brand voice and making sure that the type you're choosing kind of fits that personality. So something a little more classic or old school might have a very specific typeface that fits that feeling. Minecraft's branding, they kind of have that pixelated feel in the type to match that theme. And then here's an example of a brand that really wanted to lean into the human people aspect. So they have this sort of very custom organic type to signify, you know, our human voices. For color theory, like type, color plays a huge part in branding. Colors, there's a whole world of color psychology and how different colors are associated with different moods and feelings. I heard someone earlier say that red was their favorite color. So, red definitely comes with meaning already imbued into it. So it's a lot of strength and passion and power. So if you had a campaign that really wanted to lean into that, or a brand, that's where you can start to pick colors that really fit the overall mood that we're going for. And we see that all the time in existing brands and campaigns out there. So again, here they have some of the colors and its associations, and then pretty well-known brands that fit into that voice and make sense with the color matching. So more examples of color done well, how really, embracing one color or multiple colors starts to be able to tell a whole story on its own. Here's examples of, black and white is very powerful, even lack of color. Sometimes embracing just one or two colors, very, really owning that as your brand voice. Or if you're very energetic, fun, you can certainly bring all the colors in to have that energy and dynamism at play as well. Imagery, another piece, making sure do our images make sense with the design layout? Are we conveying what we want to? Keeping legibility in mind always. So these examples, we're kind of seeing type and imagery. It's getting hard to read. Even here, kind of that overlap in color. What is the medium that your image is going on? If you're working with a magazine or a print piece, is it going to be on the fold? And then when it's actually printed, you realize, oh, that wasn't meant to happen. Maybe it lives out in the actual world as an environmental signage, but kind of taking these details into consideration so you don't create confusion. And that also applies to icons and illustrations, all aspects of imagery. So, stuff that's very complicated is what we want to avoid. This is an example of a logo that they readily and gratefully updated once they sort of realized after the fact, different things that people might construe. So just being really intentional with that. And some examples of it being done well, a university campaign that really wanted to focus on the individual and the students themselves. Some beautiful micro photography to really capture the moment. So there's so many different ways that imagery and photography can support your brand message. Do we have movement? Is photo set in graphics and shapes and type? Do we want a very simplistic, stylized illustration that, again, is consistently used across all materials? Do we want to explore fun new ways with imagery, adding color and different treatments? Really powerful way to sort of flesh out the visual communication story. So with all that in mind, these are sort of the 5 principles that I just at a high level went through, but less is more: consistency, visual voice, color, and imagery. And if you keep all 5 of these in mind to some capacity when creating and designing and building out these assets, then you are starting well ahead of a lot of, as we've seen, not great design. So with all of that sort of, again, principles and theory behind us, how do we actually bring them to life? So vehicles of graphic design, these are the designer's toolbox in actually being able to create these designs. No matter what, can't go wrong with a pen and paper. I always start that way. So just wanted to throw that in there. And then Canva. Canva is what we're actually, if time allows, going to be diving into a little bit further on how Canva in particular can really be leveraged for you all in creating your assets. It's free for nonprofits. It's up and coming for really anyone that wants to start dipping their toe into graphic design and creating really professional looking assets. And then we also have Adobe and Figma. Those are just two others that are in the world of graphic design. If you are ever interested to sort of, continue this skill set, there's just so many different ways out there to do that. But in terms of one that is easy, quality, and very accessible, that would be Canva, which we are going to, oh, and it looks like in the chat, people have, great. I know Canva is really popular right now, so a lot of people have had experience with it, which is awesome. So after that information dump, are we still good on timing to sort of move into the Canva portion?
I think it sounds like there's at least maybe among some folks a baseline, which is awesome. And I think we would still love the tutorial, Alex. What do you guys think? What is the attendance group think about diving in a little bit more for Canva?
And we don't even have to get too grand with it, but just sort of, I could do a definite overview of how it would look or work and look like for you all, specifically within the context of hyper prevention.
I think it's super great, Alex, because I think like this, the goal would be that in addition to Sedona and Sarah and all of the work you all are doing, we can liberate you to do even more using a tool like this to get this campaign out and get it out consistently and with design. So Alex, I think yeah, you're spot on.
Awesome. And I will demo, I will use the creation of headshots as a demo too, as I know that's an asset you all will be needing. So I believe my screen is still being shared, but this is what Canva looks like, as I'm sure it seems like a lot of you are familiar with. This is specifically the I for Prevention account. So it'll have all the recent designs here on the homepage, but most specifically, I want to bring attention to the folder that has been created for the creation of these assets. So if you're not familiar with Canva, that will live over here on the sidebar. And this folder is just an organized place to have your different designs live before they're actually printed or exported to be used online. So in this folder, we're breaking it down into print and digital items. They currently have templates and designs that have been already created for the campaign, but now they are able to be edited or updated here in Canva. So if we go in, I'll go into the digital one. We see the sort of preview for social media post templates. And I will dive into the actual design side first, but before that, I wanted to specifically go over here to the sidebar and click on this tool labeled brand. And not sure if any of you have used this before, but it's a really great way to have your logos, your color palette, and your brand fonts all in one place. Right now, the brand kit has not been set up yet inside of your account because we're just waiting for some accessibility settings to be updated. But I did want to hop over to an example of what that brand kit would look like. So this is a brand kit created for hyper prevention. So you can see how the logos are already uploaded here, the two different versions. The color palette is here, as well as the different text styles that you can use in the design. So when we actually go to edit a design, so say it is going to be the social media post, and it loads. There we go. We see all the current social posts here with the type, the colors, and some of the graphics already set in place. So if you were going to reuse any of these templates, again, and just need to update copy or change a hashtag, that's super easy to do here in Canva. I won't spend too much time on the specific details, but it's essentially as easy as going in, clicking, updating the design, and it'll happen very easily. Something else, I guess, to note for some of these templates is there's also the capability for some of these items might have a lock sign on them, which just is great for elements that you know are going to be repeated over and over. So the logo here is consistently, going back to one of our design principles, is consistently on the bottom. So it's nice we can just have that locked, knowing that any other edits that'll stay in place, won't move, and we can maintain that layout consistency essentially. Photos are very easy to replace. There is a section over here where you can upload photos, graphics, assets, and then Canva just has such a great drag and drop capability. So you could drop a photo over any frame and that updates automatically. So this really gives you the power to very in a custom way put together your type, your colors, your imagery, your graphics, your logo that you're able to then use for print or digital. The brand kit that I was showing earlier, the purpose of putting it together in that way is that when you're in the design side, you always have access to those assets. So over here in logos, you will always have your logo if you need to bring it in to start a new design. If you wanted to change the color of something, click on the item. Up here is the color options, and your brand kit also syncs here. So you don't have to input the new codes or redo a lot of things. You can just pull straight from here. And that is the same with the typography. Is the settings are here already set, so you can drag them over as a starting point for design. So Canva just makes that really easy. And then of course, even within here, if you ever need to duplicate a template, it's as easy as pressing this button here. So you have infinite options to just recreate, reiterate, refresh, all of that good stuff. With the time left, I was really quickly going to show a example of a design from start to finish, specifically using headshots and how easy that is to create as an asset here in Canva. So within your folder, all you would do to start a new design is click this button up here, create a design, and then go to custom size. We know for headshots that we want it to be a circular headshot, and 200 by 200 pixels is a good size for that, knowing it's going to live online. So you put in your custom dimensions, create a new design, and that opens a new tab to start creating. Always name your designs, just for organization's sake. And then how you'd interact with a completely fresh design. We want to, in this case, create some circular headshots. So elements over here is a great tool within Canva to pull from so many different graphics and shapes. But again, something to keep in mind is that idea of branded items and consistency. So in this case, even though there are so many great graphics and stickers, if it's not really branded for you, it could look out of place if you're just sort of willy-nilly placing a bunch of different colors, different styles into your design. So that's where we really want to kind of stick to our custom graphics that have been created whenever we're designing anything new. But what Elements is also great for is imagery and frames and placing photos. So frames is what we'd want to look for in this case. And we know we want a circular headshot. So we could bring a circle frame, knowing we want it to be full size. We can just sort of resize it to the shape of our square. And there's a lot of smart guides, so things snap into place, which is nice. And then it's as easy as uploading the headshot that you would want to use. That will populate here. And then you drag any image that you'd want right into your frame. So I'll just use this one as an example. You drop it right over, it'll fill that frame. And then next important step, again, thinking about consistency, is perhaps we'd want everyone's face to be the same size within the circle. So if we go to crop on our image, we get this setting that allows us to actually, play with the size and ratio, because you might get different images with different crops. So it might be something like that. And boom, we'd have a simple circle headshot at 200 pixels by 200 pixels. And then all you'd need to do to create more would be to duplicate, and then the same process as dragging a photo in, dropping it in, and then just repeating that process for any headshots that you would need. It might even be helpful to, name each one, so when you export it, it's even all the more organized. So final step of this whole design stage would be that once you have your design in place, in this case, we want to just create a PNG. You'd go to share. This is where you have the ability to actually share your design to anyone else using email or a link. But we, in this case, want to go to download. We want a PNG. It does a great job of suggesting sort of the relevant format based on your needs. And then for a PNG, knowing that we just want the circle part, the rest to be transparent, we'd want to click that. You can always save these settings. And then from here, actually pick whether or not you want to export all or individually. In this case, let's say we just want to export that. And then download, and it will download a PNG to your computer that you can then use as needed. So some of you might already be very familiar with that process, but Canva is just a great tool for being able to create all sorts of different designs, and really utilizing that brand kit is a huge aspect of just making sure that all the design principles that we brought up are being leveraged in the best way possible. So I know that was a lot of info, both conceptually and just going through Canva logistics. I'm not sure exactly how much time we have left. If we wanted to open it up for questions, or if we've reached our maximum amount of time.
Well, Alex, I'll just quickly, this is Sarah, just jumping in saying thank you for all of this detail. It's been recorded so we can have you all go back if you want to, or if anybody who wasn't able to join can go back and see this training. I think it's super valuable, and I'm hoping that it gives you guys a little bit of like a, right, like behind the scenes on, but we would love to hear questions, comments, wonderings, anything that we can do to give you all the information you guys feel like you need, both for this campaign and for anything else that you are doing design-wise in your lives. And we're so lucky to have Alex on the line for it.
I just want to say thank you so very much for the information. It was very valuable. And if anything, I would love to reach out to you sometime soon, just because I am looking into starting a podcast soon. And that is something that I'm really into, and I want to involve for prevention as well. It's going to be a surviving abuse and mental health podcast that I want to do. So yes, I will be reaching out here soon, hopefully in the next couple months once I get everything together in my head. But thank you so much for that information. It really did help. I have used Canva a lot, but I didn't know those little things that did help.
Yeah, you guys, this was super helpful. I learned a lot. I love Canva. It makes me feel like a rock star. But definitely learned a lot, and I think some great food for thought in terms of how to really kind of take the campaign that everyone here has worked so hard on and run with it. And I know that was the goal. So I hope it's got other people's kind of wheels spinning as well. I'm sure it does. So thank you guys so much.
Well, awesome. We are always here. Sarah Belstack, Sedona, everybody knows. I'm so sorry. I've got a sassy dog. Everybody knows where to find us. If you have questions, let us know. This again will be delivered as a recording. It always helps me because I'm like, right, that looked so easy. And then I go to do it and I'm like, what, where am I? Like, what time is it? So we will deliver the recording, and then we're also always here to answer questions. But really our goal today was to get to catch up with you all, which was lovely. Thank you. Was to say we are here to make it as easy as possible for this campaign to be something that's not coming from one source, but is coming from many sources and coming in a way that's easy to share and authentic and real. And we know you guys have all been at the heart of that from the very beginning. So thank you. And to say whatever we didn't cover today, which it's impossible to, I think, to be exhaustive these days, but it's, you know, I think you can see that we have a level of expertise here that we hope you continue to tap into, because who knows who needs it, right? And you all are the best spokespeople for what we're doing and the best and most authentic, you know, ways to deliver this. And we are here to support that however we can. I think that's the bottom line. And he's mouthy. Look at this. Guy's got an attitude. I'm gonna just mute for a second.
Terrific. Well, thank you, Team Waypoint, for just all of the expertise and excitement that you brought to us today. Thank you, Team I for Prevention, for just all of your wonderful thoughtfulness and energy that you bring all the time. I, again, haven't gotten a chance to meet you all, but I hear so many wonderful things from Sedona. So I was stoked to get to jump on this meeting for her. So thanks for accommodating that this week. And yeah, I'm going to stop recording now. And yeah, I'll have a wonderful rest of your evening. I don't know if we've got anything else to do in closing.